All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to our session today entitled What to Expect from Orientation. Transitioning to life on the bluff. We know this is a big topic on everyone's mind right now, as this is really just a couple weeks away. So thanks so much for giving some of your time to tune in to today's session. We've got a lot of great information kind of crammed in to the next 30 minutes. And we've got a lot of people on deck to assist you with all your questions. So you're leading into this next step with a lot of confidence, right? That is the goal. Real quick, I'll introduce who's on the call this evening. My name's Elena Wilson. I serve as one of the associate directors of admissions here in the Office of Admissions. I work with a lot of families from Western Washington, Texas, a couple of Midwestern states. So hi there to folks I've worked with in the past. Really excited to welcome you to campus in just a couple of weeks. I've got some of my admissions team on the back end here that will assist with question and answer throughout the session. But really the stars of the show are our presenters from the Office of Student Affairs and Student Activities. And a current student is actually on the call today. So Jeremy and Heaven, I will turn it over to you real quick to just do quick intros.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Jeremy Koffler. I use he, him pronouns, and I serve as the Director of Student Activities and an instructor in the Franz Certificate program. Fun fact, I also have two of my children who have graduated from UP and one more that is enrolled as a senior this year. I'll kick it over to Heaven.
Hi everyone, my name is Heaven. I'm one of the orientation assistants. I'm going to be going to my junior year and I'm a human biology major.
So we're pretty confident that amongst all of us, we're going to get all your questions answered tonight. And so that's probably a good segue here to remind folks that we will be actively monitoring the Q&A feature of this webinar. So we invite you as we go through the presentation to pop your questions in there. We'll be moderating that. And then there will be designated time, a good chunk of time at the end of the presentation to actually answer these questions live. I'll present those to Jeremy and Evan, and they can tackle those as we go. Also, this will be recorded. So if you need to go back and ever reference all the good information that is covered, because we know it can be a lot, rest assured you can come back and reference this. But I think with that, we're ready to dive right in. So I'll hand it over to our team and I'll stop sharing my screen so Jeremy can start.
All right. Well, thank you, Elena. Um, this is a great opportunity for us to just start with the program outline today. We're going to cover a few things related to orientation, of course, what it is, why it's important. Um, Second, what you should do before you arrive. And third, what will happen when you arrive. And of course, we'll leave time at the end for questions that you might have. New Student Orientation is a series of events and activities that is designed to assist you with your transition into our community. Our overall goal is to ensure that this transition is as smooth as possible, whether you're a first year student or if you're transferring to UP from another institution. During orientation, you will learn about many aspects of being a member of our pilot community. You'll meet many of your peers. You'll learn how to get involved in campus life. You will also hear from faculty, staff, and returning students about a variety of resources that are available on campus. So orientation is really a combination of social events and opportunities to help you make connections and friends, as well as the beginning of your academic experience and finding out all the things that you need to know to be successful within your given field of study. All right, so before you arrive, I know many of you have been following the Countdown to Classes newsletter and have been actively engaging with your checklist in pilot launch. But I do want to encourage you to make sure that you're accomplishing all of your checklist items in pilot launch. And one of the ones that's most important, if you haven't done it already, is submitting your ID card photo. If you're able to do that by August 10th, we're going to be able to have your ID card printed and ready to go for you when you arrive. If you miss that deadline, it just means that you might have to stand in line during orientation, and we want you to avoid that. So please get into pilot launch and follow the instructions for submitting your ID card photo. The next thing you'll want to do is download the mobile app. If you haven't, the UP mobile app is really a useful tool for you. In the next week or so, you're going to have access to the full schedule of orientation within the app. And you'll have access to a variety of other resources like campus maps and things like that. We also encourage you to log into Engage before you arrive because it is really important to kind of take a look at all the different events and all the different involvement opportunities. It will also give you access to your event pass, which we may use throughout the weekend to check you into various events. Finally, there are a couple other tasks that you might want to accomplish before you arrive. There are the wellness training videos. You should have gotten messages about that either through Countdown to Classes or directly from the wellness office, talking about those trainings that you should take before you arrive. And we do encourage you, once you have everyone who has their class schedule, to go check out the bookstore webpage to see what resources that you might need to acquire for each of your classes. And finally, you may review your courses in Canvas. I just want to say, though, that there are quite a few professors that may have not populated their Canvas courses yet. That will typically happen in the next week or so, but it gives you that opportunity to kind of see the syllabus and see what the flow of your classes might be like. So keep checking in Canvas. All right, let's talk a little bit about move-in. The move-in process is a very exciting time for our residential students. August 20th is our move-in day, and we have move-in pretty much starting, I think, at 8:30 in the morning and going through the afternoon around 3 o'clock. There may be special instructions sent from Residence Life about a time frame for you, so keep an eye out for that. We are trying to pace it out so that not everybody arrives at once. If you are looking for what to bring to campus as a residential student, you can visit the Packing for College page on the orientation website. That is a really super helpful resource for you. And when you arrive, you will enter into the main entrance. As you can see on this diagram here, this map of campus, it's the green entrance. And you'll follow the arrows snaking through the parking lot to get to an orientation headquarters tent. You will actually not even exit your car at this point. We will come to you, greet you, bring you your name tag, your ID card if you had it printed ahead of time, and any other special instructions for the morning. And then we will assist you in the directions that you will need to take in order to get to the residential quad that you are going to be moving in. So some of you will be living in Shipstead and Kenna Hall, and so you'd follow those red arrows. And some of you will be living in Corrado, Mailing, and Villa, and you will follow the blue arrows, as you can see on this map. And I think there's a couple, maybe a handful of students that will be living in the North Quad, Lund family. They will also follow the blue arrows and the directions that go to those residence halls. So keep an eye out for specific instructions from Res Life, but this is kind of how the flow of that arrival will look, is you'll come through that parking lot and interact with us at that orientation tent, stay in your car, and then head right to the hall, where we will have an army of volunteers that will help you unload your car and get you settled into your residence hall. If you're a student who's living at home and commuting to campus, we are providing a couple of other resources, and I'm going to turn it over to Heaven to talk a little bit about this.
Okay, so during orientation, we're gonna be in the DB quiet room, but the official commuter study lounge is gonna be in the first floor of France. As you can see, there's a couple photos on the side that show you what the lounge looks like. There's a fridge, a microwave, some seating, and then there's also lockers that you can use during the day. I'm a commuter student, so I usually spend my time in here, and you can drop off like your lunch or whatever you have and leave it in the fridge. And then whenever you have time, you can stop by and warm up anything. But during orientation, since the lounge is a little small, we're going to be meeting in DB's quiet room, which is going to be the pictures at the bottom. And there will be your UP commuter t-shirts, there'll be snacks, beverages, and then you'll also get to meet other commuter students and staff. So you should come to these events because it's really important because you'll be able to meet other commuter students and get to just meet people in general. Yeah.
Thank you, Heaven. So I want to go through a preview of our orientation schedule. Um, like I said, in about a week or so, the schedule will be up on the mobile app. It will also be a little bit more detailed on the website where you can get additional information. But I know you're curious, and so I'll start with Thursday, the move-in day. We do start the day with all of that move-in process for residential students, and we invite commuter students to arrive between 1 and 3 p.m. To park and get settled and go over to that Dundon Berchtold Lounge, maybe stop by the bookstore, grab your commuter t-shirt, those types of things. So if you are a commuting student, we wouldn't expect you to arrive at 8:30 in the morning. But obviously a lot of the residential students will be arriving earlier. Once everyone has arrived, we start with our orientation program. We have a couple of sessions, special sessions available at 3 o'clock. For NCAA athletes, there is a kind of a mandatory meeting about being in NCAA Division I and all of the rules and benefits with name and likeness and things like that. So that's a really important program for varsity athletes. And then we have a Spanish language session as well, available for new students and their families to talk through the orientation process in their, of course, native language. And then we divide into two groups, commuter students and residential students. Each of the folks that were living on campus will go to their respective residence halls to meet their hall staffs and to learn about the hall community. Obviously, parents and family members are welcome to attend that. And similarly, we have a meeting with the commuting students and their families and supporters over in Buckley Auditorium. This is a great opportunity to learn about all of the resources that we have available for commuting students on campus. Once both of these meetings simultaneously have concluded, we will gather in the Child Center for a welcome from our president, Dr. Robert Kelly. It's a great program. Dr. Kelly brings a lot of energy to everything he does, and it's a great start to the overall orientation weekend. After the president's welcome, this is where the students and family and supporters will separate. For many, this is a good time for them to say their farewells because the students will be going to a barbecue and the parents will be going to a family social over at the Commons. As this is the formal ending of parent programming, we do know that some parents may choose to, attend the soccer game or mass later in the weekend. But for the parent participation in orientation, this is the kind of that last moment after that parent social. Students after the barbecue will be heading into a very large fun program in Joe Etzel Field to mingle and meet some of their student leaders called All Aboard. We also expect a special appearance from our mascot and from our soccer team as we build up our school spirit for the start of the year. Following that All Aboard event, we'll be opening up the Beauchamp Recreation Center for an event we're calling Flex the Rec. It's a really a large social activity with all sorts of fun stuff going on. Too many to name. I think last year they had puppy yoga and they had a bunch of inflatables and some arcade games and some other, root beer floats, all sorts of really fun stuff. So we do expect students to stick around and enjoy the company of their new friends, new peers, and take full advantage of that social opportunity. All right, think I'll go ahead and see if Heaven, would you like to share a little bit about Friday?
Yeah, I can. So Friday to start off the morning, we'll have first year students will have they'll meet in Child Center with Brenna. And if you came to the summer wave, you kind of had an introduction to this, but that was more focused on registration. But this will kind of be like College 101 at UP. And then after that, actually at that time, sorry, the transfer orientation will also begin. So if you are a transfer student, you will meet with your orientation group. And then after that, students will be split into their anchor workshops, so you'll get to meet your anchor leaders and then the people who are in your anchor class. And then after that, we have academic meetings, so you'll meet by your major. So if you're a bio major, you'll meet with the College of Arts and Science. Nurses will meet with the School of Nursing, and then engineering, and it goes on. And then after that, we will split up into two groups. So if you're a part of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday class that has anchor at 6 p.m., you'll go to your anchor workshop. But if you have class at 7 p.m., you'll go to a session called Healthy Minds and Informed Choices. And that's just going to be about how to make healthy choices when it comes to things like substance use and drinking. And then we will flip after an hour. And then if you were in the Healthy Minds, you'll go to Anchor. If you were in Anchor, you'll go to Healthy Minds. And then after that, we have Bite on the Bluff, which is basically kind of like a food cart parade where there's just a lot of different options and you can grab something to eat before the men's soccer game. And then hopefully you stay to watch that game. And then after the game, there'll be Pilots After Dark and we'll have karaoke with a live band. So I think this day will be a lot of fun. It's probably going to be really tiring, but we hope that you guys will all stay for each event because every single thing that we have planned is really fun. So yeah, that's what's planned for Friday.
On Saturday, there's no specific programs for transfer students, but we do have first year students that will have additional information sessions that they'll need to attend. One thing that's really important to know about the Anchor Workshop is that it is a credit bearing class, and participation is recorded, and could impact your grade. So it's really definitely important for you to understand that orientation goes through the weekend and that we do expect students to fully participate in these types of sessions. Um, After the breakout anchor workshop sessions and after lunch, we will gather in the Child Center once again to discuss how we support and care for our community by building healthy relationships and working to prevent interpersonal violence. This is a huge priority for the institution and particularly for the students. We have a very active student body that is really working to help make our community as successful as it can be, and obviously we want to prevent violence in any opportunity we can. After dinner, we will have an amazing free show. Matt O'Neill is coming to campus to demonstrate his incredible mental and mind reading skills. This show was chosen by our students as the best entertaining performance at the latest National Campus Activities Conference. And so really the best of the best, and so you won't want to miss it. All right. Havin, would you like to talk a little bit about Sunday?
Yeah. So on Sunday at 8 a.m., if you want to audition for any of the performing arts and fine arts programs, whether that's the jazz ensemble, orchestra, choir, you can audition at that time. And if you're not aware of any auditions you need to do, you could go to the orientation website and there's all the like directors contact info so you can reach out to them if you want to schedule a time. And that's only for people who want to audition. And then after that, there will be the opening weekend mass. So if you want to attend mass, you are able to, even if you're not Catholic, you can just attend just to know what it feels like. And then after that, we will have a commuter student dinner. for all commuter students, and then everyone will meet up with their halls and get to know each other in their halls. So if you are a commuter student, we want you to be on campus at that time so you can meet other students, and then also to attend the bell tower ceremony, which is right after and is UP's tradition that we do every year before the school year starts. So it's a good way to just to get to know people and to get a feel for what the school environment will be like throughout the year. So we hope that you guys can make it. Sunday is a little bit of a chill day, so you'll start off your day pretty late compared to other days. So
Yeah, the bell tower ceremony, I just want to say, is a really beautiful program. Just marking the end of orientation weekend. We gather in community around the bell tower, sing the alma mater, and just basically celebrate the transition. And this is not necessarily technically part of orientation weekend, but I want to call your attention to a really, really big weekend, which is that following weekend, August 28th. We will be having a series of events where we're going to want all students to stick around on campus. And it starts off with our activities fair. This is personally my favorite event of the year, where all the different groups on campus get a chance to show what they have to offer, and for students like yourselves to come and meet people and just explore different opportunities to engage with the campus community, join clubs, see what some of the different departments are doing and that kind of thing. After that, there will be free food at the Battle of the Chefs in the Commons. So whether you have a meal plan or not, you'll be able to join this activity. Uh, Basically, our Bon Appetit chefs are going to compete with different recipes, and students are going to taste them. And whichever recipe wins the battle will be added to the rotation at the Commons as a meal that will be offered throughout the year. So it's a lot of fun. And then we kind of cap off that opening welcome week with our annual riverboat program. This is a massive celebration. It is so fun. All of our returning students come back for it. We have a live band. We have it's a carnival-like atmosphere down on our river campus. So you'll learn more about it during orientation and throughout the week. But mark your calendars because this is a traditional event that you won't want to miss. I think that's what we had generally to share. Elena, I want to kick it back to you now.
All right. Wow. I'm certainly ready for moving and orientation. That was such good information and can tell a lot of planning has gone into this. We did receive a good amount of questions as you guys were presenting. So I'll just launch into those and whoever feels compelled to answer first, go ahead. Okay, first question. For the students whose last name starts with an A, are we suggested to come during that 8 to 9 window or come before 8 a.m. and use that 1 hour between 8 and 9 to set up the room?
So that's a good question that I'm not qualified of answering because it comes from a resident's life. So that's why I was saying please keep an eye out for more information specifically from resident's life about those move-in appointment times. Um, I don't think there's anyone that's moving in before 8:30 because I think 8:30 is the typical start time, but I don't know what letters of the alphabet go at what times. And I know that there will be communication from Res Life about that. I just don't think it's happened yet.
If more than one trip is needed, will we need to go through the green zone a second time? This is a good question.
That is a really good question, and no, you will not. Once you've checked in at the main orientation tent, you can go directly to your residence hall, and then however many trips that takes.
A question about we were talking about the ID photo at the very beginning. if a student had that set up through an admissions event earlier this year, but they now want to submit a different photo from one that was taken earlier, what would you recommend for that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. They can submit an alternative photo through the pilot launch portal, and it will essentially replace the one that they had taken earlier. Also, if you are living locally, and you want to stop by the campus over at the campus safety office, which is in Haggerty 100, you can actually take your photo there uh, anytime before August 10th and still get your card printed on time. So some of you would may prefer to just submit online, and some of you who are in the local vicinity might not want to submit one and just go get one taken. Either way will work, and they will use the most current photo that's on file when they start printing the cards on August 10th.
Okay. Are families welcome to the Bites on the Bluff event, or is that only for students?
100% families are welcome to join. There are a number of food carts that are available. Like I said, it's not part of the formal program. We're not providing information for parents, but we know that parents would definitely enjoy a taste of Portland and maybe a couple tickets to the soccer game. So if families would like to do that, we would love to have them.
I'm glad you brought up the soccer game again, because there was a question in here for parents who want to attend the soccer match. Do you recommend we buy tickets in advance? Do students need to purchase a ticket? What does that look like?
So students do not have to purchase a ticket as long as they have their ID card. Their ID card will be their ticket into any soccer game. Um, Parents will need to buy a ticket. I do recommend getting them in advance if you want one of the seat backs. If you don't mind bleacher seating, you probably don't need to buy it in advance. But if you prefer one of the more comfortable seats, getting the tickets ahead of time would be advised. And I believe you can purchase tickets at any time on the athletic website, portlandpilots.com. So, yeah.
Very excited for that game. Um, Question here specifically for transfer students that are joining. What does their participation in this orientation schedule look like? Is there any part of the schedule that you would recommend that they attend?
Yeah, for sure. So we tried to outline it a little bit, but I'll be a little bit more clear. Transfer students who are living on campus, of course, are going to be fully part of our Thursday program, right? Moving in. And transfer students that are commuting are going to take advantage of the commuter lounge and the commuter meetings and all of the other programs on Thursday. It's Friday where we have some special programming for transfer students because we understand that transfer students have experience on a college campus, and they may not need all the information that a first year student would have. And then their needs are different, so they have different questions. And so we have a particularly special orientation session that happens simultaneously with the anchor on that Friday, and both in the morning and in the afternoon. We don't have specific programming for transfers on Saturday or Sunday, but of course, transfers are welcome to participate fully in all of the social and after hours programs.
Kind of in a similar vein here for a question from a student that's living off campus. Is there anything different they would be required to do at orientation?
Well, this might be a good question for Heaven, but there's no like requirement for commuter students other than to participate fully, to be involved. I think one of the natural responses of a commuter student might be like, oh, well, this is for people who live there. No, this is not. That we are a very this community expects that all students are fully present and participating fully in as many things as you possibly can. And so we want you to engage in the orientation. as fully. The only thing I guess that would be different is that first day you're not moving your stuff in. But maybe having you have a from personal experience that you'd like to share.
I think it's just getting involved. Like you might not have to move in or anything, but you should just show up to all the events, even though you are an off-campus student, just because that's just the way you're gonna make friends and get connected with people. So just get prepared to meet people. I guess that's the one thing you should just do.
Are parents and supporters able to drop off other supplies between that Friday through Sunday? If so, what's the process like?
Yeah, exactly. We're an open campus, so students can have visitors at any time. Once parents leave, they can come back and visit. We have parents weekend. We have all sorts of events that are open to the public and to families. And so I would just coordinate with your student if you're going to drop off certain items um, to make sure that your student is actually at the residence hall. They might be out and about doing things, and you wouldn't want to miss them and or delay the connection. So yeah, just pre-set up a time and say, hey, next week I'm going to bring you your extra long fitted sheets or whatever that might be. And you can just coordinate directly with your student.
That's a good question. And we're still getting some really good questions. So I know we're technically the webinar was set till 6 p.m., but we're all going to stay on and keep fielding these great questions. But folks on the webinar, if you feel like you've already gotten all your questions answered, you're free to sign off at any time. But we're going to keep cooking over here. Got a good question about a student that's flying in late. Probably not till like 5:45, 6 p.m. that first night of move-in. Where should they get their ID and go through that process if they're arriving so late?
Yeah, so the orientation headquarters tent, which is located at the edge of the parking lot that I showed you on the map, will be staffed throughout the day into the evening. So that would be the first place I would visit. If you are later than what you're saying, like if you're not going to be in until 8 o'clock at night or something like that, then I think you'd want to reach out to your hall director to make a connection with them to be able to get your key to your room, and we'll work with the hall director to get you your ID card and your name tag and things like that as well. So for late arrivals, if it's up until 6 or 7 o'clock, probably stop by the orientation headquarters tent. And if it's beyond that, I think we should try to coordinate with the Res Life staff.
Oh, okay, another soccer related question. If a parent buys the tickets in advance, knowing that the student's kind of getting it through us and taken care of, would they still be able to sit together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, there are quite a few students that like to sit in the student section. Um, and that's totally fine. But if students want to sit with parents, there are general admission seating, bleacher style seating, around the stadium that you could purchase tickets for. If you wanted one of the special seat backs, that cost a little bit more, they're more comfortable, of course, then the students aren't able to sit in those sections. So I guess my advice to you would be that if you want to sit together, just purchase general admission tickets.
Oh, a question here about bringing bicycles to campus. They're not able to be kept outside, don't want them to rest. It rains occasionally here. Are there any secure bike storage spaces on campus, maybe specifically near or in Villa Maria, if you know?
Yes, there are bike storage rooms in most of the halls. I'm not familiar with Villa Maria, so I'm sure there would be information on the Residence Life website about that specific hall. But I am aware that many of the halls have bike storage rooms, um, where students can, lock up their bikes indoors.
Couple more questions here. Really just want to clarify the goodbye timeline?
Mhm.
Great question. So just to be clear, we should plan to say our goodbyes on Thursday evening, and our family's going to be eating together or our parents eating separately.
Yes, so there will be a separation point that will happen after the president's welcome. So when that program concludes, the students will head to a barbecue and the parents will head over to a dinner social with where food will be provided. But that is kind of the moment, I think, where you could plan your goodbye, because the students will be occupied, of course, with All Aboard and the Flex the Rec program after the barbecue. So they'll be busy late into the evening. And the parents will be free to wrap up the social and go home or enjoy a hotel and visit Portland if you'd like, whatever your plans are for the rest of that weekend.
Great. Like one other question here. Can you explain more about setting up the bed, I guess, to specifically accommodate your students' height preferences?
Mm, yeah, that I am not um well versed on. I do know that when students are moving into the residence halls, they can communicate with their RA if they want their bed lifted or if they want their bed shifted in some way. And there will be staff available during the move-in day to assist with that process. So I think the best answer I could give you is to work with the hall staff when you arrive to make those adjustments.
And Jeremy, when will the orientation schedule officially be posted? Is there a certain website you would recommend guiding families to reference?
Yeah, the orientation website already does have a version of the schedule up with general times and event titles. We'll be adding room and locations over the next week and further descriptions of each of those programs. And then after that happens, then we'll be adding that schedule to the mobile app as well. So we're about 3 weeks out, and I would say give us another 7 to 10 days, and it'll all be up and ready to go. But what's there right now should be sufficient to at least give you enough information for travel plans and kind of a general idea of how the flow of the weekend is going to work.
Awesome. Well, there's been a little bit of a lull in the Q&A. I'll keep my eye on it, but did want to remind folks that this session was being recorded. And so if you're looking to go back and reference it, just be looking out on our virtual events portal page. It'll be posted in about 5 to 7 business days. So you can reference this specific recording as well as all these other great virtual events that we've hosted throughout the summer. There's a lot of great content in there to help build your confidence before August 20th. And I'm one of the many staff members and faculty who are so excited to participate in the celebrations of move-in day. I'm happy to lug stuff around for families. That's a great way to welcome folks in the UP hospitality way. I do also want to thank Jeremy and Heaven for being here this evening with you all. This was so much great content. I'm sure folks are really excited on the other end of the screen, anxious to get here, and they know where to go now if they have other follow-up questions, and encouraging them to keep checking their UP emails, and those countdown to classes will be great resources as well. So with that, I think we'll close out here. Folks are welcome to sign off. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you in just a few short weeks.